Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Woo! Have I got a show for you today? Yes, we have a great cast of people that are going to just blow your mind with their talent today. Actors, I will introduce one person who's going to share with you those that are with her, because she brings to the table some very interesting things that is going to surprise you, because many don't know all of the details about the things that she has done. She's had a love affair with the arts as a young woman, and she sang with local bands in Denver, Colorado. But I've got to tell you, that's not where things went for her. She ended up becoming, through an offer in a television series in Denver, and she just went with it, stayed with it, and it really flourished for her. What ended up happening is she ended up appearing many times on Father Dowling series, Perry Mason, and maybe you remember this, maybe you don't. I do. The Greatest American Hero. She really got her big break, though, in a movie that many of you know, Bruce Willis, Die Hard 2. Yes, and this is where things changed for her. She had a lot of things going that really, it opened the doors in many ways. So she's an actress, a singer. What talents! I mean, just unbelievable talents. But she's also a writer, a screenwriter, and she's got some very heavy, wonderful things that she's going to share with us today, and I'm not going to take and steal that from her. So I'd like to bring her to the show. Welcome, Corinne Rodriguez-Montoya.
Well, thank you so much for having us. Hey guys, thanks. Hello, everybody.
I love this. Yeah. I absolutely love this because
I have a built-in audience. No matter where I go, they're always behind me clapping. Yeah. So
I know. I am just so excited because you're here. You've done so much with your life, and you had a script that you wrote. It became a premiere series originally called City Yacht Club, and later changed to Staying Afloat. That was in Texas, and it's just really moved on and on and on for you. And now you're involved in something else that's really amazing, and we want to hear all about it.
Well, I met the screenwriter, the creator, the visionary, Steve Archuleta. This is Steven Archuleta. This is him. He came up to me one day with a script, and he said, "Hey, I have a script. I want you to read it." And I looked at it, and it was just a bunch of lines. And I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want to discourage him. So I asked him what his favorite movies were. And then I mentioned that I was going to suggest that he read scripts from those movies. Because I wanted him to know what a script looked like. There's so many ideas out there. Young kids want to get their stories told. So not discouraging him, I said, come back in a couple of weeks. Well, 3 days later, he called up and said, "Hey, I have a script for you." And I kind of said, "Oh, okay, I'll read it." It was a full functioning working script, what we call a working script. And I was really impressed. So he didn't have anything other than he wanted to put it together and put it on YouTube. But I saw the story and I saw his passion. So I told him I'll help him. And the rest is what we have today. We have some amazing actors who auditioned, and these two actors were one of them. Angelo has stepped up to be a writer, a co-writer, and a director of one of the series.
Corinne, this is Angulo Duran.
There he is. Hey, Angelo.
We got to get a really close shot, Angelo. And for those out there who are listening to the show, Angelo's popping up to the screen now and really giving us his ham. So this is fantastic. I love this.
And this handsome guy we call one of our eye candies.
Yeah.
This is
Eye candy.
Yes, yes. What we love about him, Keyahn also went to film school, but he realized even before he graduated, come on in and say hi to everybody.
Hello.
He's I love him.
And let's give the audience Keon's last name as well.
Okay, go ahead, say it.
My last name is Vedadi. Keyahn
Vedadi. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get the spelling on this, because let me tell you, these ladies out there, if you're being known as eye candy, and all of you are heartthrobs, and so they're going to want to be Googling you and connecting with you on social media, so we got to have your name spelled correctly. Go ahead and give it to us.
Do you want my first and last name? Or just my last name?
Last name. Yeah.
Okay, my last name is Vedadi.
Okay, you heard it here straight from him. You know how to find him now. No messing around. Okay, Corinne, go ahead.
So we auditioned and got together and filmed. We're fourth walling Hollywood. We're putting this project straight in Hollywood's face and saying, we don't need all your bucks. We'd like to have them, but we're going to get this project out with or without your help. So Steve, raise your hand. Steve, he said, I have money to produce this. And that blew my mind, because you don't find very many 19-year-olds who aren't from money themselves that have money. And he saved and worked hard and worked overtime. And before we knew it, we had a professional crew come on board, professional actors come on board. And this thing has blown up on social media. People are liking just the pictures of the cast members. And I'm just so lucky that they are allowing me to be a part of this.
Oh.
I can't keep up with them because their energy is endless. The creativity I love, because it's like their energy, there's no end to it. And they get along well. The Ventures is about friendship and the trials and tribulations millennials go through. If you don't mind, talk with them. They can tell you way
That's
more.
where I'm going. Angelo back there has something he wants to share.
I wanted to say something I want to give props to Steve for saving up all that money and stuff, because him and I are the same age, but the most money I've ever saved is right now, and I have $27. You know what I mean? So I can't even imagine having that, and being this young and having this much freedom and stuff to save that money. I'm props to you, man. I can't do that. As soon as I get more than $20, I'm like, hey, let's go hit something. Let's go see a movie or something. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you mention that, because I every now and then have a guest that I bring on the show to talk about finances, because personally, when I went into the workforce, even I wanted to save, but I started out on my own. At 18, I went and got my own apartment and so on and so forth. And I just didn't feel like I had enough money to save. I needed every penny to get by. And so I didn't have someone that guided me on saving strategies or retirement kind of things like that. And so I bring people on the show to do that. And this is so essential with the age that you're at right now to do that. And Steve, obviously you know how to do this, and take the opportunity, take the time to do this. This is absolutely essential. So I want, Steve, you to share with the audience the name of the film. I want you to share also how you came about writing this.
So the film is called Ventures with Hoyos. And the idea came...
One more time.
Okay. Ventures with Hoyos.
There you go.
And the idea just came from just living, just seeing reality, how I see it in my perspective. And it just, I don't know, the characters just came to life.
This is really exciting. And Corinne knew right when she read it that there was something very valuable in it. And so she took on to help with the project. So Keyahn, how did you end up coming into this beautiful family now that you have.
Well, all I really did was I went, there's a website called New Mexico Casting Call, and I contacted Corinne and I was like, when can I come audition? And she told me like a date and a place, and I went down there, and it was at I didn't expect it to be a hotel, and I was waiting with a bunch of other people, and we're just standing outside the hallways, like I forget what the script was. It was like some conversation that everyone had to read, and so my interpretation was I had to read it like a total pothead. So
Okay.
So I went into the room and I met Steve and Corinne, and auditioned with Steve and just sat down. Well, before that, they asked me like some questions, like I guess like some personal questions to determine my personality, like what does like a friend mean to you, like topics that relate to the show.
Yeah.
And then me and Steve sat down and we just went back and forth with dialogue, and I was just like trying to act as stoned as I could. And
Can you act stoned for us right now?
Well, this is so funny. Now, Angulo, you had done some acting prior to this as well. You had done some background work, and they found something special in you as well at the audition. Is that correct?
I guess, yeah. They gave me a T-shirt that doesn't fit.
Wait a second. Okay? So you guys gave out T-shirts during the audition?
I mean, to me, they did. They're like, "Oh, this guy's so cool," and that's what I mean. They're like, they liked me so much that they gave me a T-shirt, but it was a media. And even if I was skinny, it still wouldn't fit because I'm like 6 foot tall. So it fits like a crop top and it's super tight. It's like a tube top for men.
Okay, that's kind of weird, but in a little way, you know. So that's pretty funny. I went to an audition and never got. They didn't give out anything other than the open door if you didn't make it, right? So you got a T-shirt, and so here you are with this, and it's going really well. So the filming was done in New Mexico, and now you guys have it. And tell me how, aside, you said there's a lot of good things happening amongst social media. You're getting a lot of good feedback. Tell me a little bit more about this and the audience, especially those who aren't able to get the visual. They're hearing the show on audio.
Well, first off, when we started filming, it was going to be a movie. And then I saw it as a movie, and Steve said, no, it's a series. It's got to be series. So it's ongoing. We're not done with it. There's more stories being added, more adventures that the Hoyos are having. If I could take a moment, I have to talk about the auditions. Because
Yes.
They were unique.
I have a funny story about it too, but go ahead.
Okay. We asked all the actors, and some of them were classically trained actors, theater actors. I mean, actors that are, pretty hot. But our ad said, we didn't care if you were trained or not. Do you think you can act? And then we had a special part of the ad that said, do your friends think you're funny? If they do, come and audition for us.
Uh-huh.
We wanted raw talent. We wanted to work with raw talent.
See, that's really good. And that's one thing about what happened with you, because someone noticed your comedic side way back.
Yeah, I don't know if it was comedic or sarcastic, but yeah, they kind of liked it.
Yeah, they picked up on it. And so what happens is oftentimes we tend to not embrace our unique talents and get it out there because we want to get into acting or get into something else, and so we try to portray this image. But raw talent, that was great, because then Keyahn was able to just like off the cusp say, hey, this is my version of what you're asking here, and you were able to get it. And so what I'm wondering too was, how big was how many people ended up showing up? Was it a big pool?
Well, the first day we probably had about 30 people, a lot of people in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, which is, we're like the third in line for Hollywood features and filmmaking and production. There's so much going on. Angelo over here is working a lot and hardly gets any sleep, but we're busy here. So what we wanted to do was just be so different. And so the first day we had about 50 people, and Angelo can tell you a little bit more about how he felt when he read the casting call. The second time we had it at our production office in a small town outside Albuquerque, and I think we had about, altogether, we must have had over 100 people audition.
Okay.
Because, here we are, we're a small production company. People didn't know if we were for real or what. And with that note, I'm going to let Angelo tell you his story.
Yes.
So, I mean, no offense, but I'd never heard of any of these people. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
previous to this, I went to another, I saw that it was at a hotel, and that was immediately a red flag for me because I went to an audition, quote unquote, that at another hotel. I think it was the same one. And then they were like, oh yeah, for $7,000 we can make you famous. And then they had me audition, but they stood me in front of a Christmas tree and told me to say my name and my phone number. I'm like, that's not even an audition. So I went there with not a lot of hope that it was gonna be real, but I was like, it never hurts to try it. So then I got there and I saw Steve and you guys all in there, and I was like, okay, maybe it's legit. And then can I see the script we read off? Yeah. So then we read a monologue off of Half Baked, and I just acted I acted as high as I could possibly be, like Keyahn, because Half Baked, who's sober in that movie? You know what I mean? But yeah. So I thought it was a scam, and then it wasn't, and then now I'm here.
Well, the thing about why we asked the actors, there was a method to the madness. We asked the actors to read, a scene from Half Baked and another scene from, I can't remember, it was for the females with Alicia Silverstone, Clueless. And it wasn't to see their acting ability, it was to see if they could take direction. The direction was memorize this scene and say it. And there were actors there who were so good because they came up and said, well, I prepared something else. Well, out of respect, we let them film. We filmed what they prepared. And they were amazing. But they didn't get the job because they didn't take direction. Just first audition, they didn't take direction.
So one of the things that I like to do is share with the audience things that will help them with their life moving forward, positive things. And one of the there's actually two things that in just the last couple of minutes that you guys have talked about that I think I want to convey some real pointed significance in. The first is that if you decide you're going to go into acting and you reply to a casting call, you don't have to pay for the audition.
No.
That is if there's anybody that ever asks you for any money or they want to set you up on some kind of a payment plan. I had this happen to me in San Diego. I went for an audition. There was a bazillion people there. I mean, I'm a little exaggerative there, but I go for this and then they said, okay, we're going to line up 5 of you at a time and each of you are going to read this. And I messed up a little bit and I stopped and restarted. And the person said to me that was kind of on this panel, oh, you've done this before. Kind of like there was kind of a surprise there in the sense that they knew I was catching on to something. And so long and short of it, they wanted money. So I want those that are listening, those that are in the audience to really be aware that if you want to go into just about anything really, when you go somewhere and they're calling you and they're asking you for money, no go. No. And the next thing is that when you are applying for positions, whether it's in acting or like with my background in law enforcement, there's some very huge things that you need to recognize is in what you want to do. If you want to land something, you have to follow the directions. And if you don't follow the directions, it really can be detrimental, especially if, let's say you have a small group of candidates and they're looking at all of just about everybody having the same kind of qualifications. They all look good, and now we really have to start the process of elimination so that we can really select the right candidate. That could really be it. And in this case,
It was.
it was.
Can I offer some more advice too?
Yes.
So, if whether you're auditioning for a role or I'm just going to keep it to the acting world because that's probably what whoever's listening to this is probably like interested in. If you're auditioning for something, try to be as friendly as possible and like most personable to like the directors, whoever's casting you, because you may not know this, but a regular day on set is easily more than 12 hours, and nobody wants to hang out. Like they're not going to cast you if they don't like you and they think you're going to be problematic or annoying or just plain dumb. You know what I mean? So just try to be like nice. You don't have to be funny. Just be pleasant to be around, at least to the best of your ability. You know what I mean?
You know, that's a good point. And it's very well said, because oftentimes, and especially in this day and age, we have such a need for immediate gratification. And in the film industry, it doesn't work that way. Time works very different, and you have to have a lot of patience. And so really, that's where you have to be able to be receptive to everything that's going on and kind of go with the flow without having an attitude. And really, we see a lot of this now because we expect things so quickly, and we are just apt to say, well, why isn't this happening now? And I can remember now, and it doesn't sound to me like much has changed. I remember in the 80s when I did some extra work, and it would be a 16-hour day. You are absolutely right. One of the coolest things though about it, if you just decide to peruse this and start venturing out to see what is behind the scenes, they got a smorgasbord of food that is available there. It's really good stuff. So anyway, but this is really exciting about what you guys have going. Tell the audience how each of you, do you want each individual of you and the cast to connect with your audiences, those that are following you, or are you wanting them to follow the film, or both?
We would like them to follow, of course, Ventures with Hoyos. We're on Facebook. Our website is shibbyproductions.com. But of course, I would love to keep my actors and the writers all to myself, but they have a gift that needs to be shared. So I would like for your listeners and followers to follow them individually, because Steve has a career ahead of him as a writer. So does Angelo. Keyahn is a phenomenal actor.
You can do whatever you want, Keyahn.
You can do whatever you, yes, Keyahn. We're not going to stop you. But I would really like for your followers to follow these guys, because their future is bright. You know that saying, my future's so bright I have to put on sunglasses?
I love it.
Yeah, that's what their future's going to be like. And I see something in every single member of the cast. It's just not these guys here, but every single member of that cast has so much talent that they're bursting at the seams, and I'm enjoying just being in their rainfall.
Yeah.
This is so neat. Let me ask you too, since this is a series, how long is each episode?
Well, not to give too much away.
No, don't. I just want to.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
They're not your traditional episodes.
Excellent. I love that. I love this because you guys know what this means for what is happening now, which means you're going to take off with this. Absolutely fantastic. So, oh gosh, I don't want to give the rest away, because I'd ask how long it takes you to film one particular thing, but I'm not going to give it away.
Well, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about the party premiere.
Okay, perfect.
It took us the pilot. It took us 14 hours to film.
Something like that, yeah.
About 14 hours to film. And we are probably premiering 7 minutes of that for just the party premiere episode. We just added something today, and we're throwing out teasers, but 14 hours, we got probably a good 45 minutes, Steve, of good footage that we could use. But we're going to be breaking it down into segments.
And also, a lot for people who don't know, 14 hours filming an entire episode in a day is absolutely insane.
Crazy.
Like,
It was crazy.
It was like nonstop, like cut, action, background, all that stuff, like all day. And then
Well, the thing about filming, we hired professional crew because our goal is to get Netflix to pay attention to us.
Uh-huh.
So Netflix has certain criteria for their filming. A certain percentage has to be filmed on certain cameras. So we filmed on the camera that the Netflix required. The rest of our series is filmed on GoPros and iPhones, but that particular day, it was 14 hours. I mean, there was food galore. We had almost every comfort you can think of, but it was long. It was long setting up the scenes. It was a long day. The crew, professional crew that have worked on the Terminator. I mean, these are professional crew members, and they were saying, "Oh, it's ambitious. That's ambitious." At the end, they were high-fiving each other because they helped pull us through. We were so excited at the end of the first night because they were saying, "Oh, ambitious, ambitious," and I was starting to say, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" But everybody pulled together because there was no competition on set. It was all collaboration. It was all love.
Uh-huh.
And it was done.
And actually, I don't know if you said it, but some of the, like, almost everything that you see on camera, like, really happened. So, like, should I talk about, like, a few things? Like,
Yeah.
So, like, we had, like...
I'll hit him if I don't want him to talk about it.
Yeah, so we had, like, a beer bong scene, like a beer pong thing.
Yeah.
And then our castmate, Amber, like, actually made the ball in. And it took her, like, a couple times. So, like, that was, like, damn near, like, my real reaction.
Oh,
like,
wow.
It was crazy.
In movies, to get a scene like that perfect, it could take 20 shots.
Yeah,
you could do it 20
You
times.
could do, like, an
Right.
hour.
Yeah, an hour to shoot it, to get it that perfect. But it just, I mean, all the stars, everything in the universe is pointing to this production.
Yes, and I want to say too, despite the hours being long and, just different retakes and such, the adrenaline, though, is what keeps you going through those long hours because you're excited about what you're doing and the end result is just going to blow people away. It's going to be so, yes. And Steve, with everything that you have done, that you're writing, I mean, you've just got to be absolutely excited to see the end result here and what's going to happen. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Annette, he's doing flips.
Yeah.
This guy's doing flips. This is him being excited.
I can see it. I mean, and I can feel it. I can feel your energy, all of you. And this is what's going to really come across in the series. So I am really jazzed that you all took the time to come out and talk with me today and the audience that is watching and staying tuned into my show. And I'd like to ensure that they jump on over and follow you guys and see what's going on because you guys are going places. You're going to make things happen. This is going to be something huge. I'm very excited about that. Corinne, you rock. You've got this team that is just astounding. And you've got to just keep pushing them. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here today and what you're doing.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
You just warmed all of our hearts right now.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but I'm blushing. I'm just kidding.
He is blushing.
A little bit. It's kind of also kind of
I love it. And, I would really like for you guys to come back on the show because you have the mindset that your generation needs to hear more often and to follow. And so I think you will be great leaders in what you're doing with positive change. And I'd like to hear that.
We're like the new hopefully, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I want to see like a whole new generation of like directors and writers because now, no offense to a lot of them, but they're kind of old.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they are.
There's not a lot of good stuff coming out right now.
Exactly.
Really stop the remakes from happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to like start Marvel, bro. No more remakes of like 80s movies.
Well, Steve, you just said this. There's remakes. Here's the thing. Okay, so obviously I'm a little bit older, But here's the thing, what I love film. And I was an extra. I've done some things. The thing that I find the most challenging is when I turn on the television and I find a remake of a movie that was a big box hit when I was a child. And I'm thinking to myself, this is great. You know, they've done something, they've come out with this. This is great. But why isn't there something original happening? People have imaginations, and that needs to be exposed and done and brought out. Are we in a society of closed minds where all we can do is just circle back to what's already there? No, we're not. We got to make things move forward, expand. I mean, look at our technology. We have the expansion there. So our minds are not closed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not circular. So you guys have it. You have position right now, and you need to use that. This is your leverage. Go for it. I want to follow you and support you with whatever you got going. I want those that are younger like you to make the changes necessary that will lead a direction that just implodes with imagination and creativity. This is what is needed.
They're going to do that. They will do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, you guys, for being here.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. Looking
All right,
forward
Steve.
to being back.
Yeah.
Steve,
Bye.
bring us home and tell the audience where you want them to connect with you guys first.
Okay.
Just join the community. It's all about peace and love, getting together, having a good time. Yeah.
ShibbyProductions.com.
Wait, and are talking about our social medias too?
Yep.
Okay. You guys want to share yours first?
The first one is Shibby Productions on YouTube.
Shibby Productions on YouTube.
ShibbyProductions.com.
ShibbyProductions.com.
What's your Instagram?
Ventures with Hoyos on Facebook.
Ventures with Hoyos on Facebook.
And Keyahn, you might want to shout yourself out. But
Yeah. Shut up.
I just have a Facebook. It's Keyahn Vedadi. Or on Instagram, Keyahn97. I forgot about that one.
Okay, so if you can't remember his last name, Keyahn97, or maybe it's Keyahn Eye Candy, not yet. Maybe you should grab that.
Super swag daddy.
Okay.
Super swag daddy.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys so much. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in every week to watch this wonderful show that brings you so much information. Take the information that was shared today, not only for entertainment value that you're going to get from what they're producing, but the information that they've given you to help shape your life. We appreciate you tuning in every week. I ask that you share this with your friends, your family, coworkers, everybody on social media that you know, and those that you don't. Thanks for tuning in. Click on us.
Peace out.
Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I'm really excited because today I've got someone who is a counterpart. He does a lot of really exciting stuff, and it's of interest to me because there's a lot that I don't know. I'm really not as technically savvy as I'd like to be, and what he does is so intriguing, and I think you're going to like to hear some of the things that he does. So I'm going to share a little bit about him. He's a former member and co-founder of Create Arts Media, which was a new age media company. He's also a founding member of Dead 13, a horror production company, and he is a show host. He has his own show, and I want to talk to him about both of these things because of how in-depth they are. And he's very passionate about lots of things like esports, gaming, and even more. The things that he does kind of really bring well-rounded things to education, business, things that are emerging in technology and with the types of multimedia that he is capable of doing, it blows my mind. And so he has a Bachelor of Arts in Media, Digital Media and Narrative Filmmaking from the University of Hawaii. Now, I wish I could have went to school there. I really would have enjoyed it. But we've got to hear a little bit about that. He produces as well as does his own, like I've said, podcasts, web series, media content, and more. So I'd like to bring him on the show so we can get to know him a little bit better. And also, I want you to follow his work and check out his show. So welcome now, Trent Knox.
Hello, how are you?
I am
Hello to
really
everyone.
excited because you're a counterpart. You do a lot of the same things, but your stuff is so in depth. It's amazing to me what you do and how you're able to do that, because I, number one, don't have the patience and the knowledge. But how did you first start out getting into this? Because you ended up going to school and getting bachelor's degrees. So there was obviously interest there before going to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, that actually goes a little bit further down than I've ever been asked before. I was in theater growing up and through middle school, high school, and whatnot. So I did have a background in theatrical productions and stuff like that from the stage standpoint. And then after I had done that, my senior year in high school, I joined the horror industry, sort of kind of where I started working with the Dead 13 people in the haunted house in Austin called House of Torment. And I did a season there before I went to college. And it was my first job I'd ever had. And I was like an actor within the haunt and attraction. A lot of physical activity, jumping around, screaming, and trying to scare people. It was a lot of fun. It was the first foray into paid acting, right? So then after that, I kind of wanted to go and do something in the visual space. I didn't know if that would be like commercial work or whatever, but I had someone had reached out to me when I graduated to go and be a part of an agency and book talent and stuff like that. But I was not in the right place for it at that time. I was on some news and I had picked up some attention from being on the news for promoting peer mentorship and stuff like that in high school. I'd won a couple of competitions and stuff like that from auto tech and stuff like that. So I was on television for a little bit in the news and things. So people had reached out, but I wasn't ready to go do like anything like that. I felt like I needed to go learn. So I went to Texas State originally out in San Marcos, and I started studying mass communications. I had an idea that I would go do some sort of PR or spokesperson for companies or something like that. And so I studied that first, my freshman, sophomore year there. And then I transferred to the University of Hawaii. And at the University of Hawaii, I studied in a thing called the Academy of Creative Media. It was like a department within the University of Hawaii that specialized in narrative filmmaking and digital media content creation. And that avenue led me to Hawaii Five-0 of season 4 of Hawaii Five-0. I was on season 4 of Hawaii Five-0 doing production crew work, moving things around, setting up sets and stuff like that, working in wardrobe, working in the producer's office with different things. I did a lot of different things, from the hard work like collating papers and scripts to helping out with budget and that stuff. And then
Let me ask you,
did that with the eye production.
when you were there and working on Hawaii Five-0, was that before they redid the international marketplace?
No, it was after.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Very-
2013.
Okay, so yeah, all right.
Yes,
So okay, go on. I'm
season
sorry.
4.
I just wondered if our paths had crossed there at one time. I had seen the filming of one of the episodes there at International Marketplace, and so I didn't know if by chance you would have been there at that same time. So anyway, go ahead.
No, I think that happened in season 2, but not too far shortly after. So I did that season 4, and then they got picked up for season 5, but unfortunately, like I was on the way, down a different path, and I didn't stay on for that. I was moving back to the state, or I mean, the mainland from the islands, and after I graduated, and I had intentions to go either to LA, Vancouver, Denver, or Austin, back to home, sort of. And I found Denver because my parents were moving there. I wanted to stay close to family. My grandfather, whatnot, lives north of Denver, so I want to be close to family. So I was there, and I started working actors workshops while I was there, doing videography and kind of studying with a guy by the name of Steve Austin, and he's part of an actors workshop called the Roaring Success Workshop. He was started by a man with the last name Roar, and now I forget his first name. But he's got two schools, one in Denver and one in Colorado Springs. And I was helping out with the one in Colorado Springs, and did that. Then I went and worked in a music studio with the Conservatory of the Arts with kids between the ages of like 5 and 18. I did some videography, helped out with a little bit of audio production there. That was good. That was good experience, and putting me towards learning a little bit more about podcasting. There, I started live streaming at that time. Like, I wanted to learn how to mix music and master music, and I was talking with some of the full-time instructors there because I was like an assistant instructor, and they kind of showed me what it was like to work on audio files and make music. And so I kind of took that, and I took video and the music and tried to make like a DJ set. I did some DJing and that sort. Those videos are up, and hopefully they are. Those are some of my first videos that I've done live. They're somewhere archived. Then I did that, and then I moved back to Austin. And when I moved back to Austin, things were really different. I was actually doing those gig economy freelancer work jobs to kind of find a foundation of who I am and what's going on. So I learned a lot about Austin. I learned a lot about some of the things that are holding back content creators in the area, and some of the things that are actually bringing them up. And so I kind of thought, well, you know what? I want to talk about the culture that's going on in Austin, like side project to, working with other entrepreneurs and building companies. So I would interview local artists, brands, and events in the area, and that developed into starting a show, like a show about that, the Live from the ATX, and then we turned that into like an actual meetup, and that meetup turned into a concert, and then one thing led to another. Then
snowball effect.
we kind of and then we kind of we did a bunch of other things. We kind of branched out and did some different things. Started covering events with a 10-man production crew, and it was cool for a while. But then it kind of diverted and split the company in half. And so I took the company with me, and my business partner went on to do a different podcast, and I helped co-produce that podcast from time to time. And so right now it's all about developing new podcasters and helping out in places that I can help out. My gig now is full-time videographer for my client, Robert Gardner Wellness. He's a key opinion leader in the health and wellness space, and I'm working with him to build his online presence to the next level through live video.
This is incredible. This is
Yeah.
absolutely incredible, because you have to know what you're doing, know how to leverage and market, and you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Well,
pretty neat.
fortunately enough, I did spend about 3 months. I was working for traditional television and radio, and it didn't work out for me because there was I was really dead set on digital media and the advent of social media being the marketplace of ideas. So I left that job and I went to work freelance, and so it's been that way since then.
This is really neat, because you were right on the money, and all of the projectors are showing that this is the way that
Mhm.
are going. And so for those who are not on board with the digital portion of media, they're really missing out in the foundation of where things are going to go. So
Mhm.
I've encouraged this with people that I've helped establish shows, and they will say, I do radio, and I'm saying, this is great, you do radio, but you really need to have a visual component, because that is what's the way that things are going, statistically showing. And if you think about it, just about everywhere now has some kind of visual component. You'll see it in advertising. You go to somebody's website and they'll have little how-to videos, or they'll have some kind of mini podcast or whatever. Major companies now that you would never think are having their own podcast shows on their sites. And then you have Facebook Live, you've got just a whole host of YouTube Live, all kinds of things that are going on in social media, and people really have an opportunity to grow, and you are making things happen. You know how to do this, you know how to do it really well, and this is pretty exciting. So I want to talk too, I mean, you were talking about what you can do for somebody else, but let's talk a little bit about your show, because you produce, host, and make things happen with your own show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my personally branded show, Trent Knox Show, it started out as a behind the scenes of the Austin Live and Local stuff that I was going on. It started off with micro content. It was just kind of like the technology had met the podcasting, and it became really easy through Anchor.fm to be able to put out micro pieces of podcasting or content out there for people to, if they needed a little pick me up, or they wanted to hear a story about a story about a story, and so I was just doing that for about a couple of, 6 months or so. And then I thought, well, you know what, this is just as good. Maybe I might as well, interview some of the people that have been helping me out that aren't, necessarily from Austin, that aren't necessarily doing the same industry that I'm in, that, I might just walk down the street and meet somebody who's, attending a convention to real estate, or I'm trying to think of other ones that I've done that are kind of unique. I don't know, but there are just, people that you'd never think you'd meet, and then just taking time and, interviewing them out of the blue and seeing what their life is like.
I think that this is really good, and I'd love for the audience here to also follow your show. I think you have some very, very good things going on with that, and you also encourage and work with people in starting their own shows too.
Yeah.
So how do you go about doing this? People can go to your website, trentknox.com, and
Yes.
connect with you there. But let's talk about what it entails for somebody who might be thinking about starting a show.
Well, it's interesting you bring this up, because I've worked with people in different ways to where they realize they'd like to start a show. It hasn't always been the first introduction has been like, hey, I want to start a podcast, or hey, I want to be on a live stream. Sometimes it's, I'm making videos for YouTube, but I just don't know how to, get over that hurdle and keep doing it. I have reservations or something's limiting me. And I usually just want to, motivate those people to just keep doing it, because if nothing else, it's an archive of your life, that you can go and show your kids and show
Yes.
everybody that who you are and who you were before, or how you developed, and how things that went wrong, things that went good, and document your life.
I like that
And
you
so,
say that very much.
yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
forget about that often, that this is a document of our life. And so family members are going to be able to see this at some point later on, and even generationally. I mean, this is a pretty neat thing that you bring up. And in most often we're thinking about what are we going to do with this? How's this going to look to other people? But we really don't think about that. And I really like that you have brought that up, because I have thought about this before. I don't think about it on a daily basis, but I have thought about this before. Well, if something were to happen, and this is something that my daughter, my grandson will have to look at some point, maybe. So anyway, go on. I just think it's neat that you brought up.
Even nonetheless, even if it's just a little bit of a laugh, like, oh, I remember those days. That's the way it was back then. Those stories always seem to be some of the strongest stories when I talk to, my family members or my elders or some of my mentors. Is like, oh man, back in the day we had to drive a tractor that didn't have any power steering, or like all of these stories, like, and technology just advances us. And in some ways, one of the people that I think we're all looking at and looking up to right now is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about this all the time. He talks about the fact that technology isn't making us any worse than we were before. It's just exposing things that we didn't do before, or that we weren't publicizing before. And now that we have the opportunity, and that's a positive and a good negative. Before, you might not have always said the thing that, or put out the thing to the society that you're a helper, or you're a motivating person, or you're willing to give the shirt off your back or something like that. But that those acts of kindness do show up in these documentations. Back to the question that you're asking was, how do I help these individuals who may or may not know that they want to do a podcast get to doing a podcast? I like to think that it would be, the first step would be to experiencing what it's like to record, either in their own home studio or like in a studio with me, going and actually getting something recorded. And so that's kind of the first step. The second step, I think sometimes, or maybe even a different lane of steps, is I'll find people who are doing podcasting but don't know that they're doing podcasting. So for instance, like people who just do a daily vlog or something like that, and they're motivational, or they're talking about something that they're super passionate about. I'll just send them an email and be like, hey, I really like your content. I've been doing podcasting for a while now. I'd really love to help you develop your content, and maybe a podcast, maybe a live stream would add an addition to that. Some musicians, I like to even give them the opportunity to think about it as like another avenue to find what works. So even putting out music as a podcast, sometimes you can put something out, see how it's resonating, and then put that into the the marketplaces where you have your iTunes or whatever, your traditional audiobooks or whatever. Yeah.
I think this is really a good thing because you've brought out some really good points. Oftentimes there are people that are doing blogs and don't have any idea that it is a podcast. And
Mhm.
the predictions of growth in this particular arena is huge. People
Mhm.
are really on board with podcasts. It is a
Mhm.
thing, and it's amazing what is out there already, from different apps to different extensions in the browser to regular things like iHeartMedia, where you can, listen, or Sirius XM,
Mhm.
So it's pretty neat where what you're talking about, and all of these things are documentations too. What I really enjoy about doing my show is having someone like you come on, and I'm able
Mhm.
to share and highlight what you do, and that in turn allows someone in the audience, and hopefully every member of the audience, to gain something that's going to enrich their life and be able to move them in a different direction. And so there may be someone that's watching or even listening today that says, you know what? I'd like to do this. And they now can go to TrentKnox.com and be directed on what they need to do to get started in this. And it's not something that somebody has to do full time. They can do it part-time and can be done from their home. So there's lots to this. Now, if somebody did, Trent, contact you and say, hey, I want to do this, are you able to do it through Skype or through a visual media format and let them know the types of things that they need to have to make it work right?
Right. Well, I want to go back a little bit. There's there's the opportunity to direct someone in podcasting, but sometimes I just think of it as more of like a consultation or an advisory thing. Uh, Something like that, like a consultation with me about how to get started, or the technical aspect to the content creation, the logical to the emotional. Um, it really just depends on where they are. If they need help with, the content creation part, where they're like, I'm just not sure what I'm doing. Or I don't know what to do. I'm working, I've got this artisanal honey that I've been trying to make, but I just don't know how to promote it. Well, then that comes to those type of things. It's like, you know what you need to do. Like, maybe you don't see it, but you just need to talk about your artisanal honey and get people to understand why it's important.
Yeah,
Why is that important? Yeah.
that's a good point, because we can really, with whatever our passion is, we can really do something with it that will be beneficial to other people. And that's
Mhm.
really the goal, at
Mhm.
least for me, when I do a show, is to make it beneficial for other people. And so I really am, I'm just crazy digging what you do, because you do all aspects of this. And so if somebody already has a show, do you produce also their shows or help them along? If they
So
editing,
I have a few people who have asked me to do that,
uh-huh.
um, and I have helped with that before. I have helped to innovate podcasts. Either, it could be from that they were just recording on a small recorder, to now they have a microphone and a recorder, or maybe it's adding intros, or adding another piece. Or I have helped innovate podcasts before. So yeah, that's something I have helped out with before.
Oh, very good. So with everything that you've got going, I know when people have a passion, they can always be available to do more. I know I'm one of them, and
Mhm.
or at least I was at one time, but I know what the drive is, and it's pretty neat. Do you have anything on the horizon that you've got coming down the pipeline that you want to share with the audience, or that you can share with the audience at this time? With what you,
Sure, there are a couple of things that I can't, but So there are a few things that I can share. I was invited to go to help out with the esports leadership summit, in-game esports leadership summit that's going to be at Dallas, Texas, at the new esports arena at Arlington.
Ooh.
That's tomorrow on Saturday, and then on Thursday of next week, I'll be at the Texas Association of Broadcasters. I'll be, going around the trade show and the booth, talking with some of the new technologies and whatnot. I've been invited by Teradek to go, so I'm going to be out there talking about wireless and live streaming and that kind of thing.
Oh, this is exciting. So you are being called upon now. You are an expert in this field. So if anyone out in the audience needs information, we have an expert. So please do contact him for any of your multimedia needs, and go ahead and check out his show. Let's see anything else that I'm forgetting to talk about, Trent, that you might like to touch upon before I let you go.
Sure. The one thing that I don't think we talked about was my social media marketing and management
Yes.
company,
Yeah.
Cyber City Media. Cyber City Media is
Trent, that didn't come through. Can you share the name of your company again?
Yeah, Cyber City Media. It comes from the whole concept of cybernetic communications, which is communications over the internet, or any sort of digital network. And then the whole city mentality of a bunch of people coming together to try to live cohesively. And then of course the media portion, which is distribution, networking, all of those different things. So I'm working as well as some other people who I'm looking to bring on board to creating something that's more specific to are more enriched in the community or culture of someone's project. So instead of just throwing money at something to see if it works out or it doesn't work out, we want to work with community managers and whatnot to manage people's social media. I've said this before with Rebecca before. There's a difference between management, social media management, online management, and marketing. And actually, I didn't say this as well, and advertising. The difference is like you originally marketing is finding the places that a brand is not existing in. So that's like going out to get an Instagram page, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, the whole plethora of social media networks. That's the whole marketing aspect, finding places that you don't already exist in. The management portion is going onto those platforms and working within the organic native natures of that and using tools to share, get in groups, network, and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the marketing aspect or the advertisement aspect of spending money on those platforms to reach a larger audience on the core of the platform.
Okay.
Whether that's the news feed, stories, or any sort of tool that has some sort of paid feature, paid advertisement. So that's what we're working on.
Okay, so if somebody were to come to you and say, I need
Mhm.
social media management or even social media advertising, so would they come to you and then hand over all of their username and passwords and say, I need you to get this out every week or whatever schedule, and you do all of their advertising on social media for them?
That's interesting you bring that up because originally in the wild, wild west of social media 10 years ago, it was like that, where you were just handing passwords out all over the place. On the newer platforms like a TikTok or a Snapchat or something like that, they don't have business integrated tools. So that's not necessarily the platforms where you're going to have the ability to not give them the password or a manager the passwords, but usually you want to work with someone that you trust or that's trustworthy with the brand, the image of the brand.
Okay.
But most websites like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, not Instagram, but Facebook, YouTube, and what else? I'm forgetting other platforms, but there are some other platforms. They have business integration tools. So you can
Okay.
go to my company, and it can act as an agency of your page, of your Instagram profile, and we can just manage what from a third party access through the platform.
I see.
Yeah. But sometimes you just have to find somebody that for the newer platforms, the newer markets, you just have to find somebody who understands your brand and is able to build the image of your brand with you, not against you.
Mm-hmm. Is
Yeah.
it very time consuming for you to do that?
Yeah, the management portion of social media is very time consuming. The marketing portion of it, finding new markets to be in, is not that complicated. It's just creating accounts and establishing a presence. And you can repurpose content across all platforms. If you want to be creative and do something different on another platform, it's okay. Nothing to stop you to doing that. It's just more work. When it comes down to the advertising portion of it, the advertising portion is complicated. It's not necessarily time consuming. It's
Okay.
complicated to find the right keywords to get in front of the right people.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. So when it comes to social media
Mhm.
advertising,
Yes.
I want to ask you because I've heard some conflicting things about
Okay.
hashtags. So
Okay.
I'm thinking, so I have heard something like you don't want to have more than 5. And then I've heard that 8 to 10 or something is the key number. And so what do you think is appropriate? And you know this is what you do. You know podcasting, producing, social media, because this is your business.
hmm Yeah. So hashtags fall under actually the management portion of social media. And that's a big misconception because what people tend to do is they use the word hashtag for the word keyword. It's like they're similar, but they're
Okay.
not the same. So
Okay.
hashtags on Instagram are search engine optimizers. So they're SEO. So when you do that on Instagram, you use 30 is the max that you can use. And it depends what kind of content creator you are, but there's a certain way to manage that to make it so that it puts it in the eyes of people who are looking for food with a dog, and that's what those do there.
Okay.
On YouTube, the maximum amount that is actually beneficial is 3 hashtags, but it's up to 30, I think, as well, keywords. So keywords are a back-end backlink versus hashtags are what you see on the front of the picture, the front of the page. So it's like there's a bit of a misconception in just like in nomenclature between hashtag and keyword. They're similar, they do similar things, but they act differently on each platform.
That's pretty interesting because I think you're right. There is a misconception, and that can really, really cause a challenge if you're trying to do certain things. And if you don't know what they
Yeah.
do, it's not going to get you where you want. You could be wasting your time or,
Mhm.
um, something like that. But talking to you and getting a feel for something that is really necessary for somebody's brand, for somebody's business, is pretty essential. So I think we need to have them go on right on over to connect with you. Now they can go to TrentKnox.com. Where else can they connect with you?
So they can go to TrentKnox.com, and that's primarily my productions company. That's for videography and any sort of live streaming content creation. For the media management and the media marketing, it's going to be Cyber City Media.com. That's CYBERCITYMEDIA.com. On social media, it's you can find me across the board through Trent Knox, at Trent Knox, or at Trent Knox TV.
I love it. Thank you so much for all of the knowledge that you've shared with us today and the
Yeah.
opportunities that you've shared to make so many lives better. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it a lot.
And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I think that there are so many things to learn about what's going on in the industry of digital media, from podcasting to social media management and social media advertising, along with a whole lot more. And what is better than to have somebody who knows the ins and outs of that, an expert, right, at your fingertips? So you definitely want to get connected with Trent. What an amazing man, and I'm really excited that he's been here. So I hope that you will connect with him on social media, and I ask that you share this with your friends, your family, everybody that you know, your coworkers, everybody on social media that you know, and those that you don't. Please make sure to connect with us on facebook.com/Rebecca Sounds Reveille and connect with us on YouTube. Click the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in.